Turn it down a little. Welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Beluga the Jaegerist, and today we're going to be going my theme of my hardcore, unwavering, uncompromising answers. When it comes to Isayama and how humble he is, it's really a shame that he won't stand up for himself and is outright encouraging the disrespect and degradation of his art in his work. And so I am going to be here to do what Isayama is not strong enough to do, which is defend his art relentlessly, because I have no emotional affiliation with you people. Isayama has sort of an emotional attachment to you guys, and he owes you because you buy his stuff, and so you made him rich. You did no such thing for me. So I have no feelings towards you whatsoever. So I'm going to completely rip into you like none other with no filter whatsoever. So we used to do those videos. Now I'm going to go back, and this is not an opinion video. This is the truth. AOE is not happening. I'm sorry to burst a little bubble. I know you guys wrapped yourself in your little unicorn fantasy land where Aaron's a simp and Isayama's bad, and the ending got changed just recently and all sort of stuff. But you're wrong. AOE is 100% not happening. And yes, I know what the music director said. And yes, I know what Isayama's interviews said. I know he said he changed the ending. Yeah, I know. I'm aware of that stuff. I'm not naive. I'm not dumb. I know what I'm talking about. You are all wrong. Okay? Now, let me define some terms first before you say that I was wrong. Anime only ending. I am referring to an ending that is different plot wise, narrative wise, character ending wise as to the original anime. For example, if Eren doesn't get killed, that'd be an anime original ending. If the Titans are still around, that's an anime original ending. Having extra exposition, having an anime only scene is not an anime only ending. So don't come to this video, months later, and you're typing and say, "Oh, look, this extra scene got added, so it's an anime only, an anime original." No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Now, why am I saying there's going to be no anime original ending, despite all the proof you have? Number one, I've been aware for literal years that Isayama changed the ending. I've been aware of that for 4 years. Okay. So, whenever someone says, "Look, Isayama did an interview and he said he changed the ending," he changed the ending years ago. And let me tell you something else. From the very first chapter, not chapter 5, not season 2, not season 3, not even season 4, chapter 1, September of 2009. Okay? Barack Obama is the president of the United States, and I think the Patriots won the Super Bowl, or maybe the Packers won the Super Bowl. That was 2011, actually. That's been long ago. Think how long that was. Yeah, think about the last time Aaron Rodgers won the Super Bowl, and think about that was 2 years prior. September of 2009 is when this got published. And what happened in the first chapter? Well, first off, the name. To you, 2,000 years from now. Of course, referring to Mikasa. No, it's not referring to Eren, it's referring to Mikasa. They may say, well, it was about Eren, then they may about Mikasa. Okay, cute. Then we go to the very next thing. Again, I'm surprised you manga readers did not catch this because, again, you are manga readers. But for one of the very first things we see, very first time we see Mikasa is actually adult Mikasa. We see Eren's decapitated point of view looking at Mikasa as he is dying. She says, "See you later, Eren. Cam is bad." Dopish. What do you mean Cam is bad? Those of you who are watching after, someone just put in the chat, Cam is bad. Anyway, I think the Cam looks pretty good. Anyway, so we see adult Mikasa with her hair short, which is funny because we know that in the training arc when Eren tells her to cut her hair, we know it's a giant foreshadow, but her hair is short, right? She's looking at Eren. She has her white shirt on, right? She's not wearing a dress. She's wearing her white shirt, and she has I think she has a scar. If you squint really hard, you might be able to make out what looks like a scar. But it doesn't matter. She's wearing different clothes. It's shorter hair. And he asks her, when did your hair get so short? Again, what I like to call an awkward scene. It's a very awkward scene, and I've been pondering over it for years, like most of you. It seems like most of you didn't care about that. Didn't really know that this was supposed to be a mystery, but it was. The whole "see you later, Aaron," the whole "why are you crying," when did your hair get so short, that was all supposed to be a mystery, and the mystery gets solved later when hold on. For those of you who are watching this after, I'm actually responding to a comment right now. Hold on a second. These are all live streamed. Okay. Anyway, so and the mystery is solved in 139. Okay, so she says that he says, "Why are you crying?" And of course, then we see that this is actually Aaron being decapitated, looking at Mikasa. Okay, so we already from the first few seconds of the first episode, or your first minute into the chapter, you're already knowing. Everything's already being set in stone. Then when and I don't know if it's episode 1 or maybe it's the episode after, but the walls come down and lo and behold, Mikasa gets a headache. And then, of course, later on, we meet the girl called Ymir, okay, with freckles. So, from this information, all this information, we can say with absolute certainty that Aaron dying by Mikasa to free Ymir was all planned. Again, not to mention, everyone brings this up, but not to mention the praying mantis as well. Okay, so that was all planned. So don't tell me, don't you ever tell me that Isayama changed the ending, because he didn't. And again, in 121, what happens, right? In 121, when Ymir is introduced, right? It's the chapter's about Mikasa, and Aaron asks her, and again, one of the foolish rewrites actually put this in here, and the explanation was very stupid. But he said, "Are you going to stay in the paths forever? Okay, or are you going to free yourself?" Or something along the lines. And of course, that made no sense to any of us, because we don't know why she was in the paths in the first place. And this guy, the guy who rewrote it, one of the guys who rewrote it, said, "Oh, once they destroy the worm thing, because the worm thing trapped her. Once she destroys the worm thing, then the paths will be gone, right? When Ymir herself created the paths." Again, I like the other explanation, because it's foreshadowing and it makes more sense. She created the paths so she can find someone to free her from her love. That makes a lot of sense. On top of that, it was probably foreshadowed, unlike the rewritten 139. So that's why the same Mizuyama who wrote 121 wrote 139. Absolutely, it's the same guy. Now, and a quick side note, you may be asking, why did it suck so bad? It sucks so bad. It's very obvious why it sucks so bad, but I mean, I've put more things together for you. Because Kodansha and Betsu's Shonen Jump did not give enough pages. This simple in discussion. They did not give him enough pages. And we know this because when he published in Betsu's Shonen Jump, he said there's going to be 8 additional pages, and those 8 additional pages had massive plot implications. Again, they weren't slice of life. It wasn't a cute little epilogue. There were massive plot points in those. Mainly, Mikasa's headaches, Aaron succeeding, the cycle of violence continuing. That stuff was all in the last 8 pages. Major plot points. Everyone's asking from April to the leaks came out, why Mikasa's headaches? They were never explained. Mikasa's headaches were never explained because Isayama had so little pages that he had to pick and choose what he was going to confirm and what he was going to leave the audience to figure out for themselves. And that's a very, very unfortunate situation to put themselves in. Also, I would like to also point out, some of the rewrites they did a good job when they took the original panels and they rewrote it and then rewrote it. Maybe they added sometimes they added extra panels a little bit, but they mostly kept one. You remember the early rewrites before A&R, the early ones where they would just take the panels and they would rewrite the dialogue. See, those some were good. Some of them sometimes were good, and sometimes they just elaborate on what I already assumed to be going on. But the problem was they jammed so much dialogue into one panel that you can't do that. There's rules on how much dialogue you put in a bubble, how much bubbles you put in a panel, and vice and all this other stuff. So they couldn't do that. So then if I say to you, well, you can't put that many bubbles in there, now you're gonna start deciding, well, what words am I gonna put in, and that puts you in a horrible, horrible, horrible position. Okay, so while some of the rewrites were good because again they elaborated more on themes. The problem was he couldn't even do that because the word bubbles they had to be, it's like a readability thing. It had to be readable from like a certain amount of distance or size. So Isayama cannot do what you did. Okay, so that's why he left the audience to infer stuff. That's why I'm saying that's why the ending sucked, because not even Kodansha gave him enough pages. He needed much more pages. He needed much more pages than just 8. Okay, and we know he needed much more than 51. We know he needed more than 51 because obviously, if he needed more than 51, why would he why would he have the 8 extra? Again, I hate calling them extra pages because they're not extra anything. Number one, they're canon, and they're canon. Of course, they're canon. But and secondly, they have major plot points in them. So sorry. Oh yes, they also have Mikasa being free of Eren. They also have that in there as well. So we have, again, that's why the first draft sucked so bad, because we didn't know whether Mikasa was actually free of Eren or not. We don't know if Eren succeeded or any of that stuff. So it was a genuinely sucky. I'd say a chapter was a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6 out of 10. Again, I love the story and I love Isayama, but that's the 6. The original, the April version, was a 6 out of 10 because it was so incomplete. Then later on, I'd say a 7 out of 10, maybe a 7.3, maybe a 7.5, but it's still, it was still poorly executed. 100%. Yes, Eren and Armin's conversation was completely rushed. Yeah, the plot twists were unexplained. Yep, 100%. There needed to be exposition in certain areas. There wasn't exposition. Yep. There needed to be more lore. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. It was very poorly. It was very rushed. But the actual story and narrative and character endings were actually good. Now, another reason why I say it isn't happening, not only because Isayama planned this ending and he wanted this ending, right, is the music. I bring this song up on my channel all the time. I'm sure you know what song it is. All right, say with me. 1, 2, 3. Child of Evil, right? Child of Evil. So, in Child of Evil, not only did we see that this entire thing was set in stone since 2013, because there's a conversation between him and Mikasa, which means that he had the second side planned out while the first side was being written. So Isayama had the first side. He was writing the first side, or he was telling the music director what to do in the first side, as he's thinking of what was going to happen in 2022. So that's a 9-year-long foreshadow. That's 9 years of foresight. Again, he's not changing. Yeah, it's not him changing stuff. Okay, it was just any change he's talking about was modifying it. Again, he said he didn't want to kill off all the characters were going to die. That was the original ending. And if you want that ending to bed, be my guest and rewrite that and make everyone die, because that was the original ending he had in 2008, 2007 or whatever. I think he later changed it, right? Because it got more popular. Now, so in Child of Evil, on top of it being set in stone 9 years in advance, it's of course a love thing. It's a it's letter to Mikasa, and it's the same thing it's always been, right? So that's why I think it's going to be the same. because he's saying the same stuff he's been saying 4 years, and he's saying again the most important part, the part that makes me so sure it's not going to be an AOE, is I will sacrifice anything to protect you. Meaning he's gonna die. Meaning he's gonna die. So yeah, he's gonna die. And it's gonna free Ymir because Mikasa gets a headache in the anime too. And those people saying, but Luca, Mikasa didn't have the see you later scene wasn't happening in the anime. Haha, I got you. No, well, first off, why did your hair get so long? That was still in the anime, and her headaches were also in the anime too. So what are you gonna do? Now, I think the anime will be significantly longer than the last chapter. That's what I think. I read a tweet somewhere about the last chapters being they're gonna be an hour long, well 45 minutes long. So they're gonna be double. They're gonna be double length episodes, right? So it'll be from Dawn of Humanity to Battle of Heaven and Earth, Battle of Heaven and Earth to Titans, Titans to Long Dream. Wait, I'm mixing them up. No. So it'll be Dawn of Humanity to Battle of Heaven and Earth, Battle of Heaven and Earth to Titans, Long Dream, and then Toward the Tree Down the Hill. So that will be the episode. A manga adaptation 2 episodes. So it'll be 4 episodes, and they'll be an hour long each. Well, 45 minutes. It'll be double length episodes. Now that idea would be really, really good. If that actually happened, that would be really, really good for season 4, part 3. That would be really, 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 it would drive the Isayama legacy home, and the ending will be, I can finally say, 10 out of 10, excellent, greatest of all time, whatever. I unfortunately cannot say that, but I will be able to say it if he does this. The other thing that's very positive is that the movie idea got rejected. Because I was looking at the anime, I was looking at the manga adaptations, and I was like, this is not going to work. There's not going to be enough time for a movie. And again, Attack on Titan has escaped the business side of this so much. They swore left and right to avoid having the main driver of the series be profit and business, which is not bad if you do that, by the way. If you want to be Disney and make, sequel after sequel and stuff after stuff to make money, that's perfectly fine. Again, as a businessman myself, I understand. I do it all the time. It's perfectly fine. I'm totally understandable. But there comes a time where you say, let me not buy this at Walmart and let me go actually drive an hour to a specialist to do this, right? And Isayama does that. Isayama, again, they stopped. One of the greatest reasons why the Attack on Titan anime is so good is that they stopped season 2 for 4 years after it was incredibly popular. They stopped the production. They stalled. They didn't put any filler. They didn't do any craziness. They waited for 4 years on a very popular series that was making them a lot of money. They let the hype train completely slip away, and then they rebooted it after 4 years. So that shows you what sort of headspace they're in. They don't mess around when it comes to this anime at all. But they're still making enough money. See, that's the thing. They're still making enough money to continue moving forward with excellent top tier quality. And again, I was very nervous. Like, oh man, this movie it'll be really profitable. People are going to love it. Especially in the States, this is not good. And it went through. And it went through because it would have sucked. It would have sucked. If it was a movie, it would have sucked worse than even the first movies would have sucked. Right? So that's good. And that gives what do they call themselves? Hope Chads? I call themselves Hope Chads. Yeah, sure. I guess I'm a Hope Chad because I hope for the the 4 episodes, but I'm not a Hope Chad in the traditional sense. But that gives us some hope because that means that that's going to be episodes. We don't know how long episodes are going to be. We don't know what episodes are going to be. All I'm telling you, there's going to be no AOE. Again, we had the foreshadowing in the anime, we have foreshadowing in the manga, we have the music, we have the songs, we have everything. There's nothing that's going to make this without retroactively destroying the entire narrative, which what you guys are doing. Again, in one of the other leaks, not leaks, but one of the other rewrites. I was reading that Aaron had a baby with a story. I was like, oh, this crap again. Aaron had a baby with a story. Oh, let's see how you get around this. And they flat out admitted that Aaron was gonna die. He was gonna die, but he was still gonna have a baby. And his was like, come home to our baby. And he's like, nah, and he tells Armin he's gonna die anyway. So he's gonna die, and the baby's gonna grow up with all of us. Again, how that is a better ending? How that is a better ending than him loving Mikasa, not getting a chance to love Mikasa, and then going through the rumbling, freeing Mikasa and freeing Yumi at the same time, which gets rid of the Titans, which helps everybody out, including Connie. I don't know how that's a better ending than that. Okay, I don't know how it is. Okay, that just sucks. Okay, that honestly sucks. So yeah, there's no. And again, look at the opening for season 4.3. Look at the opening. Again, I'm recording this on June 1st, so this is before 2021. This is 2022, I mean. This is before it's out. But look at the opening. When the opening drops in, maybe another 6 or 7 months, look at it and tell me if it's hinting towards an AOE. It's not. The praying mantis is still there. Ymir is still there. Both Ymirs are still there. In fact, they actually elaborate on it more, and they still had that scene. Remember, when I was telling you in the Ymir video, they still had that very crucial scene of her looking at those two people kissing. That's an incredibly important scene. And again, Isayama's a mastermind making seemingly innocuous stuff become wildly important. This is a great example. This frame that's on screen for like 2 or 3 seconds of there's two people kissing. That explains an incredibly complex issue, and it explains the ending. She's saying she desires love, and why wouldn't she? So she mistakes King Fritz, or she does love King Fritz, but she does not love him in the right way. She does not, as I said, guard her heart. She does not protect herself from King Fritz, and she loves him and recklessly, and she does whatever. But then Eren comes along. Mikasa loves him. She kills him, and then the Titans are gone. She's free and she's happy. That one scene is a foreshadow for that, and it communicates that, and it shows what she was thinking. So now when you go back after reading 139, you can go back and say, oh, that's what they're doing there. Like you've been doing for the entire series. It's the same guy. Same guy. It's the same exact guy. And before you fools tell me about his editor, how his editor has influence or sway over him, let me remind you what happened with his editor. So one of the biggest things his editor did was saving the character death. And we saw how that played out. We saw how that played out, didn't we? We saw how that added an extra character and an extra layer to the story, which was the whole Out of the Woods thing. We saw that. We saw how that worked. So if you're going to say his editor made it worse, well, then you're wrong. You're just simply wrong. Especially when you're talking about the anime. You're just wrong. Because yeah, he effed it up in the manga. Because again, he didn't plan it out. Because again, it's all this stuff is so planned out in the future that when he had one character gone, he effed up most of the story. After the story for a long time, the editor he changes his mind in season 2. Season 2 comes out later, and it's written much better. Okay, so in the anime, and again, if that's anime only than original, then sure, but it's going to be a lot better without his editor changing his mind in the anime. As I'm saying, and we have a history. There's a history of this. Also, for those of you who really hate the ending, also remember that the anime carries a emotional quality that the manga cannot communicate. And that's another reason why it does not get as much fixing as you think it is, which is why it won't be an AOE. Because the voice acting, which Isayama has mentioned, I know I'm saying he has mentioned this because I'm communicating to you that he's aware of the voice acting, how much effect it has on the story. One of my favorite scenes. This is not my favorite scene. It's not close to was not one of my favorite scenes. Well, it was, but it was not as I didn't like it as much. So the anime came out, which was when Aaron manipulates Grisha. Now it's not the manipulating thing in the chat area. That's cool too. But what's actually cool is Grisha's speech afterward, or Grisha's thoughts, Grisha's monologue afterward. That's what I really like. And the first off, the screaming in the anime, that's original. That was not in the manga, and it's done so well by the Japanese voice actor. I mean, the English one did a pretty good job too, but the Japanese voice actor really nailed it through. Okay, and he again that added a layer to the story, and then we have him talking about Carla, and then he's yelling Zeke, and it's in with that music, and it just really hits you. It's so, and again, it was really emotional and cool in the manga. I loved it in the manga, but in the anime, it just went a whole nother level. And again, you're going to, if you're paying attention, if you're not just stewing and watching, this is the same ending. My hope Chadness is gone. It'll be a sequel. If you're not upset and you're not a pouty, petulant child watching it, you'll be able to you'll appreciate, even if it's translated, even if it's adapted one for one. Which it's been adapted one for one so far, guys. I mean, we have 9 chapters left. And it's being adapted pretty much in the same exact way. So nothing's changing. And even if it's adapted one for one in the way it is now, it'll still be so much better because the emotional value, which is sort of relevant to the story, the emotional impact. Now, another way that the voice acting gives a actual layer, an actual input into the storyline is a great example I have for this is Aaron's speech. Now, when all of us confused, deranged people read his speech, we all pictured him being angry, like, oh, and I'm going to wipe out everyone in a parody, and I reject those wishes, and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying, right? We all expected him to have this, like, powerful, like rah-rah voice. But he was very calm when he was delivering this speech. And, shout out to Bryce Young. I think that's his name. Is that his name? Bryce Young, the guy who... But the sub, guys, don't watch the dub, please. Because you know what? The dub, the same syllables have to be for the sub and dub because they use the same animation. So the sub has to say stuff that the dub does not say at all. Okay? So just don't watch the dub. Okay? It actually ruins the actual story. People say, oh, it's the same thing. It's really not the same thing. Because I'm going a little bit of a rant right now, but seriously, if you want to enjoy the storyline to its fullest, yeah, you're gonna have to watch the dub. I'm sorry, and then watch the sub after if you want to. I mean, watch the sub and then watch the dub after if you have to, because the poetry is saying until I'll exterminate them all is what he's been saying since season 1, and he doesn't say that in season 2. He doesn't say that in his speech when Bryce says it. Bryce says, "Until the people of parody are all that remains of humanity," and then the Japanese actor actually said the phrase that he said in the manga and what he's been saying for years. So it's just saying. Side note. Now, but he delivers the speech calm. And he delivers his speech calm. Now, again, looking back, it's interesting how much you get to look back and get new revelations from 139. But I thought it was such a trash chapter. Anyway, but you're looking back and you're thinking, that's why he made that. That's why he made the speech like that. Because A, it wasn't his actual plan, and B, he forgot that he wasn't about vengeance. We all knew that, but still, he wasn't trying to take revenge, and it wasn't his actual plan. This was an act. It was a game he was playing. So that's why he's not like rah, rah. And you may say, well, Beluga, he gets really into his act when he's punching, Arm, and he's saying he always hated Mikasa and blah blah blah. I mean, I have to disagree. This guy's been, a rageful guy, including that scene since the beginning, and he delivers his speech very calm, very monotone, because he's not actually sold on it, and that's why the speech is the way that it is. And the voice actor is doing it the way the voice actor is doing it. But that's the voice actor in the anime making the story, enhancing the story with actual substance. Okay, so this I'm saying this all to say that the voice acting and music and even the animation and colors can have a drastic impact on the story and enhance it. So even if it's adapted one for one, it will not be as bad as the original chapter. Thus, there will be no need for AOE. And as my last part, I already mentioned this beforehand, but an AOE would have to, whether you like it or not, retroactively destroy a whole bunch of things in the manga. And the fact that this has been adapted faithfully, one for one, with very, very, very little change, whether you give an F or not, is simply evidence to me that Mappa is complete. Mappa and Wit were both completely subservient. Isayama is not going to mess up his work. Okay, he knows what his problem with his work was, and yes, it might have been brilliant Kodansha on Betsu Jump. It might have been beyond his. It might have been beyond his ability to write all those themes, or he might just being humble. Because if you ever watch the Russell Wilson press conference, he takes responsibility for stuff that he should not take responsibility for. It's like, oh yes, I know we're down by 14 with 14 seconds left, but I need to play better. I need to make those passes. When it was clearly his defense's fault for allowing 48 points in the first place, and the fact that they're even within 2 touchdowns means that they're doing good, and it's not his fault at all. So that, again, worst case scenario, yeah, maybe it was too hard for him. Maybe it just was beyond his skill set to write all those themes in that chapter. Or maybe he was being humble and he just couldn't write all those themes with such little pages. And yeah, no one can. Trust me, I've seen the rewrites. No one can. Now, if it is the worst case scenario, then we have hope, because Isayama has used the anime as a way to enhance his work in the manga. His manga work is almost perfect, and he makes it that much more better in the anime because he gets a chance to rewrite it. So he makes slight changes here and there. So after having he released that in April 2021, after having 2 years. Well, that's maybe let's say 1 year because he has this in production in the area. Let's say 1.5 years. After having a year and a half to think about it, to read the criticism, to talk to his editors, to look back and with retrospective, and also not having to debate over what your last panel should be. I bet you guys didn't know that. He had to decide how he was going to portray his last panel based upon how many pages he had left, which is irrelevant in manga because there's no panels in manga. It's just the entire frame takes up the entire page each time. So the panel would have been full. Each panel is full page. So that would even be a problem in the anime. And secondly, he has much more freedom over how much he puts in the anime versus how much he puts in the manga. So that's a bad sign when you're fiddling around with your pages like that. Anyway, so what I'm saying is he'll be able to fix it a lot better, and he'll have much more time, and we know he does this. We know he's gonna come through for us. Again, just like the Sasha thing when he he did not have Sasha planned for season 2, and then his editor may have changed it. Then when the anime came out, he had time to think about it, and then boom, it was great. So that being said, that's the video. Thank you for watching. Thank you for if you want to like the video, drop a like. If you want to subscribe. If you're on Reddit, type a 2 in the comment section. Anyway, if you disagree with me, you're free to do whatever the hell you want in the comments. It's right there. Go wild. I'll see it and I'll respond. And if you want to come on the channel and talk about it, I'm perfectly willing to talk, even to the most disgusting, dirty people. I don't mean that literally, but seriously, you guys need to get a hold of yourselves. r/Titanfolk. If anyone from r/Titanfolk wants to get involved, I'll be perfectly fine to set up something and to have a conversation with you on the channel about what me and you disagree about. Anyway, so that was the video. Thank you. Have a good day. Just leave a like.